Good girl, Sally. Sally. Let me clean your eye, boogie. Disgusting. Let me. Oops. Meow, meow. Hello. It's a bit warm in here now. I'm gonna go now. Just one thing. Today I just want to tell you the story about some of my wacky experiments. I'm not going to talk about my wacky experiments. I'm going to talk about my disasters when I practiced those wacky experiments when I did them. Okay, in London, my dad was out for a few hours, so I thought I can do this experiment. So I had to take urine that I previously stored in like 2 liter Evian bottles for about like a month or so. So it's going to be really dark and stench. Because some alchemical texts talk about urine and some refer to a substance that is similar to urine. So what people say is, oh, it must be urine. So you don't actually know until you actually experiment with it and try. And so what I did is I took the urine from the bottles and put it in a saucepan and slowly cooked it down, like very slowly cooked it down. So I went into another room and this thing stank so bad. It stank. It's like that ammonia smell stuck to the walls of the kitchen. So our kitchen in London is basically an outside corridor, and my dad roofed it, put a roof on top. And so that whole hallway stank so bad because what I did is I went into another room and I kind of forgot about it because I thought, oh, it's simmering really low. I didn't realize that the stink it was going to make. My God, what happened is when I arrived, the urine cooked down too much, and it became like a resin. In fact, like there's kind of smoke in the air, but it stank like I suppose a little bit like not a urinal. It's so bad, the smell, really, really, really horrible, like a sewer. So basically, I took the saucepan out quickly. It was smoking a little bit. I took it out, put it in the garden, and the whole thing turned to glass. After a while, I touched it when it cooled down. It was like glass, and I thought, that's interesting. But meanwhile, my brain said, "Hang on, your dad's coming back soon." Dad's coming back soon, and I'm going to be in serious trouble. So as soon as I went into the house, like a wall of stink, like a sewer smell. It was so bad. So I opened up all the windows, and I tell you, it took at least half an hour or 45 minutes to get rid of the stink. It's like that smell stuck to the wall. As soon as every time I went into the corridor, the hall, the kitchen, the hallway thing, area, it just stank. Like you couldn't get rid of that smell. My dad came back about 2.5 hours later or 3 hours later. It still stank like hell. So I had to give an excuse. Oh, something burnt. And he said, "This is not burning. This is horrible." So that was one of my disasters. And I had this piece of glass outside. I didn't know what to do with it. But some people do experiment with urine. And yeah, okay, there was another experiment in China. So what I did is these are nutty experiments, all to do with alchemy. So I read another book, and this guy living in the Philippines, this old nutter, he reckons that the you have to use two vulgar substances because it's in the alchemical books it talks about things, the elixir is created from something vulgar, something that stinks, something that people don't want to touch, and that's why they disregard it, as being something vulgar. Maybe nature hid the secrets in those substances. So the two substances that he used were poo and pee. And so what you're supposed to do is concentrate these substances. So the poo, that was bloody disgusting. I had to put my poo, on a tray outside. I put it outside in the balcony to dry up. You have to dry the poo up, and there were bloody flies on top of it. They left the maggots on it, so I had to get rid of the maggots. So I had to put like a mesh on top so flies wouldn't go on. And so this stuff, dried up and became like a kind of powder. So in the kitchen where I was living in Beijing, what I would do is also put my pee in a container and store my pee in a container and let it digest until it becomes a bit even more, not rancid, more off than it is, and to make it go off. Let time get to it. So then you are supposed to put these substances together in a pan. So I put them in a pan and I cook them slowly. I added the urine really slowly, really slowly in drips, and then cooked the poo. The poo came out to be, it's a bit like hay, not hay, but a kind of, it's just really dry. That thing stank. So basically, in the kitchen, I incinerated it. So all the smoke went in the air, and I put the hood on, and just kept getting rid of the carbon or whatever it is, and just kept concentrating, putting more of the poo, more of the urine, until one day it bloody exploded. It didn't actually explode, it ignited, it went boom. So I put so much poo, I think it's nitrogen, isn't it? You create like a like nitrogen bomb, and it ignited. And then I read up that you can actually create a bomb. You can actually explode. So basically, that it was a small kitchen, and that place that just stank, really stank. I had to open the windows, and like for weeks it stank. I had to clean down the surfaces. Luckily there was no explosion, but it ignited. It was really close. When it ignited, I thought, what the hell's going on? So then I read up online. There was a guy, I think in Wales, he tried a similar experiment. He had like a lab. He tried to experiment. It was maybe an alchemical thing with poo and maybe something else, maybe not urine, maybe salts or something. The whole bloody thing exploded. Obviously, he wasn't in the room, or if he was, it would be full of shit. Basically, there was wall-to-wall poo, and the authorities were called in. Could you imagine the mess, all the shit everywhere? And it was so embarrassing. I think it was in the paper. Yeah, so they scolded him, they told him off, but I think the policeman must have had a laugh because it's just so embarrassing. This whole, I don't know where, if it was in his kitchen or actual laboratory, full of actual explosion. Yeah, it could have been dangerous though. So another disaster happened when I was in Beijing. I was experimenting with gold. I took gold leaf, 99.99% gold, no copper in it or anything, just gold. And so I used the old alchemists. They use king's water to dissolve the gold, which is 3 parts of hydrochloric acid, 1 part of nitric acid. Is that right? Anyway, that's how you make king's water, or the king's bath. The king being gold, and you put him in this bath. That's why it's called king's bath, or aqua regia. Aqua is water, or regia is king. So yeah, I dissolved this gold, and I had to, the first kind of mistake is I had to evaporate the solution. So I put it in my bedroom, and I put a few like tea candles underneath. It was almost like a petri dish, and I put it in the room, and I used the hydrochloric acid, and the nitric acid must have evaporated into the room and taken out a layer of the doorknob. The doorknob was made of brass or some kind of metal. So when I went to open the door, I went inside the door. The the doorknob corroded away. I thought, bloody hell, no wonder I'm coughing in this room, because those are corrosive, those acids. And yeah, they started to attack metal. They don't only attack gold, they attack other metals as well. So I stopped that. Then I put the experiment inside a polystyrene box, and I created like an incubator. So I put something to keep it warm, like a light bulb to keep it warm, and I left it in the balcony in case when I'm outside, there's an accident happens. So when I came back one day, the whole bloody thing, like half of it was melted, because the solution, I had a larger container, foamed up, and it went everywhere, and it obviously it disintegrated the polystyrene box. So it looked like there was some kind of explosion. So when I came back to my apartment, this was another apartment, by the way, and this was in Jiaxing, which is in the south of China. The whole thing was obliterated, and I thought, thank God that I didn't have it in the house. Otherwise, the whole house, I don't know, might have not gone on fire, but it would have like damaged the floor. And yeah, if the light bulb, the electricity, it maybe reacted, it could have started an electrical fire. So those are a few of my disasters. I probably have a few more, but yeah, that's it for now. So have you guys dabbled with, I don't know, chemicals, or tried to make an elixir or something and had similar or worse disasters? Just let me know down below. So like, dislike, and subscribe, and press the notification button. Share if you think this is wacky enough to share, or people might want to know. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have a nice day. Whatever you're doing, if you're trying any experiment, try to be as safe as possible, and factor in that disasters can happen. So factor that in, think about it beforehand. All right, thank you very much. Have a nice day, and I'll speak to you guys in another video. Bye.
Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna